Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Cozier-Phillips. C News is live at noon. Topping the news at this time, 10,000 calls to the Children's Authority are being viewed as potential cases of child abuse. The Children's Authority said since May 18, 2015 to now, it received more than 40,000 calls from the public. This information came as the authority commemorates 2 years in existence this week. Rishi Harinanan has more.
Almost 8,000 cases of reported child abuse are receiving attention. So far, over 3,000 investigations have been completed and more than 700 families have been counseled. Additionally, the authority said it has licensed 9 children's homes and over 300 visits have been conducted at more than 40 community residences throughout Trinidad and Tobago to ensure compliance with legislative standards. It said it is greatly aware that there is a distressing level of unmet needs, and this has been exacerbated by the inadequacy of infrastructure, manpower, finances, accommodation for children in conflict with the law, transition homes, facilities for children with special needs, as well as a high caseload and limited placement options for children in imminent danger. Despite these drawbacks, the authority said it is thankful for the support given by the Office of the Prime Minister, Gender and Child Affairs to help it deliver services to children and their families. The authority said it has also increased public education on how to identify signs of child abuse and the role of parents and guardians in preventing child abuse. It is hoped that this outreach and continued partnership will bring about a positive change in the way children are cared for and protected. Rishi Harinanan, C News.
There's a lack of specialized doctors to deal with mental health. This from the Medical Chief of Staff at the St. Anne's Hospital. She was speaking at a joint select committee sitting of the Parliament on Social Services and Public Administration, the state of mental health services and facilities in Trinidad and Tobago.
We have difficulties, the subspecialties. We have only 2 people trained in child and adolescent psychiatry, one of whom is post-retirement, who continues to give her service on a part-time basis. In addition, we do not have any geriatric psychiatrists in the government service. There's one person that I know of locally in the private practice. So that the subspecialty areas are where the difficulty is.
As at 2012, approximately 1/4 of the population of Trinidad and Tobago, or 1 in 4 persons, is afflicted by mental illness. She explained why there are not enough specialized doctors.
In terms of general psychiatrists, we have an adequate number of trained persons, largely because of the presence of the University of the West Indies and the DM, Doctor of Medicine program in psychiatry, which is a postgraduate training program. So we always have additional persons graduating from the program with general psychiatry training, so that even as people leave, attrition for a variety of reasons, we always have new persons coming in.
A former government minister is not backing down from his threat to take legal action if the current administration does not withdraw the property tax. Last week, Devant Maharaj sent a pre-action protocol letter saying the tax is illegal, and if government doesn't reply by Friday, it will move ahead with legal action. He said government should take the act back to Parliament because it is unconstitutional.
By Friday, we will take appropriate action. In the meantime, we continue to call upon persons to ignore this unconstitutional and unlawful act, this evaluation return form, the VRF, which in our view is non-compliant with Schedule 2, which asks for documents such as the WAFA bill and a sketch of the plan and photograph, which is not included in the provisions of Schedule 2. It's not constitutional. The act was passed with a simple majority and not 3/5, which was required. The government should take this law back to the Parliament so it can properly worked out.
Now, according to the law, if a person does not submit the valuation return form by May 22nd, they can be fined $500. Despite these calls, the government said it has no intention of extending the deadline and encouraged people to submit the forms. Mr. Maharaj said government is simply trying to instill fear in the minds of the population.
This law, and that is the Minister of Finance seems to be inventing laws on the hoof. While he has a LLB, I don't think he's a practitioner before the court. And this is the scare tactics and intimidation that is the DNA of the PNM.
This is the CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at CNews Live. In some crime news now, another murder has been recorded. 21-year-old Heyman Suknanan of Elsa Heyman was shot and killed in Port of Spain on Tuesday evening at around 6 o'clock after having an argument with a woman. An autopsy is expected to be conducted on the body today at the Forensic Sciences Center in St. James. Parents of students attending the Mayaro Gov't Primary School held a protest outside the school's compound this morning. They have several concerns, including health and safety, which have been plaguing the school for more than 3 years.
We have over 60 parents out here, and the number is growing by the minute. We had enough. We are fed up. We have electrical issues that have been outstanding for years. That's just a recurring issue with no viable solution being put forth. We are only getting quick fix to the situation. If everyone will recall, last week Thursday, the electrical panel started smoking, which could have burned down at the school. We have children, 475 children at the school. We have no functioning fire suppression system.
He told us the school is not safe for occupation and the Ministry of Education must step in.
Out of 25 extinguishers, it's only reported that only 3 has a possibility to be working, and that's only from visual inspection. That is not from an inspection, a thorough inspection, right? That is just the fire department watching. You have the OSH authority come in here and tell you all that the school is not safe for the children, right? It is not safe. The block needs to be shut down. The electrical system needs to be done. Where is it going? When is it going to stop?
Confirmation today that an investigation has been launched to find a register that has names of people wanting to be employed at the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. CNews understands the book went missing a few weeks ago, and the Chief Executive Officer of the corporation contacted the municipal police to investigate the matter. Several people have expressed concern about this as the book went missing shortly after several people were recruited to work at the corporation, and it was asked if those people in fact registered for employment. We contacted the municipal police and was told they have already spoken with the people who would have had the book and the investigation is ongoing. In an effort to improve the quality of healthcare at regional health authorities throughout the country, starting tomorrow, the Ministry of Health will be embarking on a series of consultations to get feedback from the public on areas that can be improved. The consultation stems from a report done by people within the health sector addressing the challenges impacting the levels of efficiency in the delivery. The report, called the Welsh Report 1, included 38 recommendations and also focused on the rationalization of the system of public doctors in private practice. Minister of Health Terence Deyalsingh said he hopes the information coming from the public would be constructive.
From the public. We don't want these consultations to descend into a bashing of any profession. That is not going to help us. These consultations are, we have a problem, we have identified a problem, we want to hear now, what are your solutions?
Mr. Deyalsingh also questioned if the RHA system is really working.
The matter is not really the Ministry of Health. It's the delivery which is the responsibility of the RHAs.
Here now is Ian Wallace with your afternoon weather.
The wet season carries on, but the Saharan dust is in charge right now, and we're likely to still see a bit more of that dusty haze continuing through the afternoon. It'll be hot as well as breezy, 34 degrees Celsius expected for Trinidad, 31 degrees Celsius in Tobago. Despite some cloudiness around, showers should be few and far between as we go into the evening. Heading offshore, look for whitecapping, sea spray and moderately choppy seas. Locally strong winds of 20 to possibly 25 knots, with wind waves up to 3 meters in the Atlantic, 2 to 2.5 through the Caribbean, and northeasterly swells of 10 seconds. Tide is low at 2:30 p.m, then high at 8 p.m. That's the latest weather, and I'm meteorologist Ian Wallace.
A magnitude 4.5 earthquake was recorded this morning, 71 kilometers northwest of Port of Spain. Now, this was confirmed by the UWI Seismic Research Center. It said the earthquake was felt at around 6:04 this morning. It said the event has not been reviewed by an analyst. It was automatically located by a seismological computational system. Therefore, it is a preliminary result, and this may vary when new additional data is processed. Could government be sued over decisions being made on behalf of CLICO shareholders with no shareholder agreement in place? The head of the Policyholders Group, Peter Permel, holds this view. He said government's decisions on the future of the company may be, in his words, courting a lawsuit.
So this CLICO issue is far from over as far as we are concerned. This is probably just the beginning, because I see no resolution in sight. I see possibility of legal action being taken on behalf of the shareholders, because as I said, what is transpiring here is a situation where it seems as if the government is making decisions without consulting the owners of the company, the shareholders, which would be consistent with the shareholders agreement. My recollection is correct. One of the clauses in that shareholders agreement is that before you sell any assets, there must be a unanimous decision of the directors of the company.
He believes since government seems not to want to release the company back into the hands of shareholders, it may be looking at liquidating the assets.
It seems to me that the road they're probably going down is one of liquidation, because that's the only other scenario that I can think of in which you can do such a thing. But in a liquidation, what you're really going to have is a fire sale. And a fire sale means you're going to be selling assets at an undervalue. And the question then arises, who is going to be benefiting? Who are going to be the beneficiaries of those assets being sold at an undervalue?
Reports that the clerk of peace attached to the Arimas Magistrate Court is frequently absent, and this is said to be causing persons seeking bail approvals or to pay fees to fall behind in doing their business. One person who preferred to remain anonymous told C News, for the last 8 days, the clerk of the peace has been absent.
She's not signing off on documents that is assigned to her to do. And there's a lot of persons up there, not myself alone, there's a lot of people up there that is going through a lot of stress. They've been coming for weeks. Weeks they've been coming there and just waiting, and whole day you're sitting down there, and then 3 o'clock in the evening they will tell you that the clerk of the peace is not there. She's not coming.
C News made attempts to get into contact with the communications personnel attached to the judiciary, but was told the individual was not in office. The Minimum Wage Board has been appointed, and the Minister of Labour and Small and Enterprise Development, Jennifer Baptiste Primus, says in light of Tuesday's protests by Morvar residents, the members need to ensure that workers are able to receive a decent wage to meet the basic living standard. At this ceremony, board members were also reminded of their advisory role to the Minister on all matters relating to the fixing of minimum wages and terms and conditions of service for workers. Well, the Hazley Crawford Stadium was a hub of activity last Saturday as hundreds of persons convened for the Guinness Music Festival, a promotion of love, peace and sound. The concert featured clashes with some of the most well-known DJs in the business. However, one of the most anticipated clashes of the night, that between Jamaican artist Vinnie and Bounty Killer, took an interesting turn. Dion Batiste tells us more.
Jamaican artists Vinnie and Bounty Killer were advertised as the headline acts for the music festival hosted at the Hazley Crawford Stadium on Saturday. Patrons were confused and left feeling cheated when Bounty Killer left the stage in the midst of a song-for-song performance with fellow Jamaican dancehall artist Vinnie Man. Bounty Killer later took to social media where he posted, "The promoters of Guinness Fully Loaded had never booked me to perform with Vinnie Man. They booked both me and Vinnie as solo acts." The artist said he was surprised when he and Vinnie were summoned to the stage together. He went on to say that love for his Trini fans is what prompted him to go on stage for a short set with his former musical rival. Event promoters Scorch have since refuted Bounty's claims. In a release, the party group said, "We enter into contracts, pay exactly what is in them, and state clearly what is expected in exchange for what we pay." Despite Bounty Killer's dramatic stage exit, the show went on. Vinnie Man gave a stellar performance and the crowd erupted when the Viking, Trini's own Bunty Garlin, joined him on stage. Another crowd favorite was relative newcomer to dancehall Idonia. In a brief interview after his performance, the young artist shared his thoughts on the ongoing soca versus dancehall saga.
Soca and dancehall are one music, you know. I'm gonna like that difference because I want Caribbean thing, I want Caribbean vibe, you see me? Soca, dancehall, reggae music, all Caribbean, if you just love them, enjoy them in them season. I just live loving, man. I love soca just like how I love dancehall. Straight.
Other acts at Saturday's event included Wayne Wonder and Prophet Benjamin. Dion Batiste, C News.
We start with news of golf. Local golfer Talon Rajendranath shot a fine round of 2 under par 70 in the Florida Regional Qualifier for the 2017 U.S. Open and is poised for even greater things. It means also that if anyone drops out, then Talon will get into the final qualifier for a place in the 2017 U.S. Open, which will be played in Wisconsin at Erin Hills Golf Course from June 15th to 18th. It will be the first time that the U.S. Open has been played in Wisconsin and also the 6th time that it has been played on a public golf course. The 117th U.S. Open Golf Championships is only 7 years older than Trinidad and Tobago Open, which was played for the 110th time this year. Well, the history-making court's T20 Grand Slam Women's Tournament bowled off in spectacular fashion with 2 matches. And when the dust cleared, there were wins for the TechU Southern Titans and Satcher's Northern Star Blazers. The Titans were 6-wicket winners over Creation Group Central Gladiators, who could only muster 55 batting first. The Titans then knocked that off for the loss of 4 wickets, with Brittany Cooper 14 not out. But over at UE Spec, Star Blazers cruised home after asking the KJ Sports Eastern Diamonds to take the first knock.
Leon Kirby had called correctly and immediately decided to field first. And for a while that decision looked to have backfired on her as the openers Hayley Matthews and Renelle Boyce teed off with some sumptuous strokes to give the game some early life. They were dealing in boundaries and Kirby must have been wondering why she used the option to field first. But her decision would pan out soon enough when this lovely return from in the deep finds Matthews just short of a crease and she had to leave for 10 at 17 for 1. That opened the doors for the Star Blazers as they would prize out a couple more in quick succession to limit the scoring of the Eastern Diamonds. Skipper Stacey N. King would keep things moving along, but her efforts would end soon after as she departed for 15. There was a late flurry from the Easterners with O'Neill and Dollabire both posting 10 not out as they saw their team reach 91 for 5 in their allotted 16 overs. The Star Blazers chase got off to the worst possible start with loss of early wickets. Both openers creamed off in quick succession to leave them tottering at 14 for 2. But skipper Leon Kirby would stroll to the wicket to join number 3 Nation, and together they would take the game away from the Easterners. Apart from some cheeky singles and 2s that put the pressure on the fielding team, they also brought out the whooping stick and launched some big ones as well. Both players looked in good touch and spanked the bowling to all parts, featuring in an unbroken 3rd wicket stand with 78 runs to see them home. Nation top scored with 38, which contained 3 fours, and Kirby had 33, counting 2 maximums. They reached 92 for 2 to win by 8 wickets to kick off the court's T20 Grand Slam in style.
Well, that's it for sport. That's how we end our CNews report at noon. I'm Karen Kozia-Phillip. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the CNews website at ctvtt.com. Do have a good afternoon.